Hello everyone and welcome to this BI Basics introduction video. For the sake of the GDP BI WebEx sessions to take place and the ones you will be attending, this BI Basics introduction video should be more than enough to get a brief understanding of how BI works in terms of roles, in terms of reports that you can access, folders that you can see. So let's get started. One of the first things we have to keep in mind with business intelligence, or BI, is that it helps us analyze the past to come up with a strategy to improve the future. And what does that mean exactly? Well, the BI tools will allow us to analyze data. And when I say analyze data in the past, it's because the data universe that we're analyzing comes from ECC and SRM. There's a large amount of transactional data accumulated from the past, meaning as of yesterday, that the BI tool gathers for us to analyze the data. What we can do with this data, of course, is then improve our future. So briefly, the business intelligence tool will help us analyze the data that so far is accumulated in ECC and SRM as transactional data. And the BI tool will compile this data so that then we can analyze this data and improve our own future. Now, the ETL scheduling in BI is something we also have to keep in mind. And what does that mean? The ETL process, which stands for extract, transform, and load, is executed with a schedule. And this is a schedule we need to keep in mind. It's not live data. The data in ECC and SRM is live transactional data, but when talking about BI, there's a certain time frame for data to be processed. Remember that this data has to be gathered from SRM and ECC into BI, and this takes some time. And what is that time frame? Well, the one you're seeing now on screen. It occurs between 2 a.m. and 8 a.m. and it's a total processing time of 6 hours. What that means is that anything done after 8 a.m. and up to 2 a.m. will not be in BI, will not be able to be extracted from BI in terms of reports. But now at 8:01 a.m. of the very next day, you will have this transactional data. So you do not have the live data per se as you do in ECC and SRM, but you will have it the very next day, as this ETL process has to occur, and it takes at least 6 hours for it to occur. So once a document is created and posted in Umoja, as you can see here in the text, it will be available in Umoja reporting with a certain delay, and this certain delay is the one we're looking at here, the 6 hours, as a result of the ETL scheduling. So if you create a document today at 6 p.m., it will be available in the BI reporting tomorrow around 8 a.m., as I've just explained. Now we're going to look into availability, capability, and viewing components of BI. Let's analyze the differences between ECC SRM reporting versus BI reporting. ECC and SRM is live transactional data. This live transactional data then is gathered by the BI system, as we can see here in the animation. And the BI system then transforms this data into reports. 3 different types of reports that we will review shortly. Of course, those who have access to these reports are stakeholders, for example, member states, General Assembly, executive management, or internal to the UN. Some things to keep in mind from Umoja ECC SRM reporting versus Umoja BI reporting. First of all, availability of data. So ECC and SRM is real-time reporting. Data is available immediately, as we can see here in the text, and this data reflects the current values in Umoja, updated on a regular basis, while BI, as we've seen before earlier in this presentation, data is refreshed on a daily basis, and it's not real-time availability of data. The analytical capabilities. Now in ECC and SRM, there's limited analytical capabilities based on predefined options like drill down, filtering, sorting, and so on. Now with Umoja BI reporting, there's advanced analytical capabilities, as we will see during the WebEx sessions coming up this week. And then also the view customization. There's limited ability to customize your report layout in ECC and SRM, although you can do it, but incomparable to the capabilities of viewing customization that BI offers, as you have several functions and different types of reports that give you different types of layouts and views. The constraints that we encounter in ECC and SRM reporting. The specific to a purpose and area, of course, and data from only one system. Mainly those 2 constraints in terms of ECC and SRM reporting. Well, BI also has its own constraints, that data is not live, as we've already, as I've already recalled, and not full details at transactional level. But it does combine, of course, more than one system of data, ECC and SRM combined into one. Now, very importantly, the BI components, meaning the types of reports that we are going to see, mainly consisting of 3 types of components that we will see now. The first one, called formatted reports, also web intelligence reports. And what does this mean? Well, it's summarized reporting and formatted presentations. And to understand this, what this means is that the format of the layout is already standardized, or it comes by default. Of course, you can filter some of the data in it, but you cannot change the data it provides, as you can do in the other components that we will see shortly. Mainly web intelligence reports, as said here, summarize reports. They're official as they have the UN logo, and they're already formatted presentations. And also the layout of how we view these results has already been customized. All we do is extract the data based on what we add to the prompt when we launch this report. A second component are the ad hoc reporting or analysis workspaces. Now, these give us a little more room to play around with how we visualize our data. So there's multi-dimensional analysis and also granular view of data set. In comparison to what a web intelligence report looks like, as we see here, it does not have the UN logo, meaning it's not official, but we can definitely play around with how we visualize our data. We select by dragging and dropping what we see here in our layout. Also, we can add graphs or pie charts, which we will see during the WebEx sessions. But to understand basically the difference between the two is that the analysis workspaces allow us to change the way we see our data and somehow allow us to play around with the data we select in terms of what we want to see in our report and how we want to see it, while the web intelligence reports are already UN official documents and are customized reports that we have very limited capability to play around with. And last but not least, we also have our dashboards, which, in a simple way of summing it up, it visualizes data in a single image. For example, as we see here in this small image, it visualizes data in terms of graphs or pie charts or bar charts, what we also call at-glance view. So these are the main different types of components. What we're going to be seeing during our WebEx sessions are mainly web intelligence reports and analysis workspaces. The dashboards will not be covered during these WebEx sessions. Now let's learn a little bit about BI user access and roles. Now this is sometimes confusing to some of our students, but hopefully with this explanation we understand what the differences are between having one role or another in BI, and also what types of reports we can access based on our role. So first of all, we have 3 types of roles. One called the basic BI user or regular user, the analytical user, and the power user. Now one can have one of these roles, 2 of these roles, or all 3 of these roles. And what is the difference between having 1, 2, or 3 of these roles is the following. As you see here in the top, we have the possibilities, right? The capabilities of each one of these roles. Run formatted reports, save delete copies to favorites, create ad hoc analysis reports, which are the AWS or analysis workspaces, or share copies with others. And I'll explain what these 3 mean as we start seeing the limitations by role. So first thing, basic BI user. Can a basic BI user run formatted reports? That means, for example, viewing a web intelligence report. Well, yes. As you see, it says formatted reports, which also was synonym for web intelligence report. So yes, a basic user can run formatted reports. Now, can a basic user save, delete copies to favorites? And this is favorites in the BI environment. And yes, a basic user can also do that. Now, can a basic user create ad hoc analysis reports? In this sense, also viewing ad hoc analysis reports or AWS reports? In this case, it's no. Basic users can run or view formatted reports, but cannot view, run, or create ad hoc analysis reports. And then finally, share copies with others. And what this means is that a basic user, of course, can save a copy of a web intelligence report and then share it by email with someone else. What this means is that a basic user cannot share a report in BI in what we call the shared analysis folder. So we can share it by email, definitely with another user, but we cannot share it with, let's say, the community using the shared analysis folder. Now let's understand the limitations of the analytical user. So an analytical user can run formatted reports or web intelligence reports, can also save the leaked copies into his or her own favorites in BI, and in this case, yes, can view or run ad hoc analysis reports in BI. But can an analytical user share copies with others? In this case, no. Both basic users and analytical users cannot share copies with others, meaning they cannot add reports to the shared analysis folder and cannot share it with the community of BI users, but can of course share a document or report through email. Now, a BI power user. A BI power user can run formatted reports, save the leaked copies to his or her favorites, create ad hoc analysis reports, and share copies with others, meaning can add reports to the shared analysis folder in the BI community and share it with the BI community. So these are the basic differences in terms of what are the limitations in terms of roles in viewing the types of reports and what one can do with these reports based on their role: basic user, analytical user, or BI power user. But let's dig in a little more into the other limitations that we can also have by having a role, one role or another. But let's dig in a little deeper into what other limitations having a user or another can bring upon. So let's say I have a basic user role, and my role is the one I am showing here, BI 11. So that's a basic user for finance or funds management. See, a basic user role, and this is exactly my role, BI 11 basic user. So what does that mean in terms of access, right? We have to understand that each type of role has a segregation of access. Two segregations, one for folder and one for report. So here we go. I have access to the report related to FI or FM as a basic user, BI 11. I can access this folder, and in that folder I can view the web intelligence reports, not the analysis workspaces. But just because I have a BI 11 basic user role in FI FM, that does not mean that now I can access what the BI 54 role would be able to access. For example, here for service delivery, BI 54 basic user role, I would not be able to access the folder because I only have the BI 11 role. So with the BI 11 role for FI FM basic user, I can access this folder specifically for funds management or finance, and I can view the web intelligence reports, but I would not be able to access the reports that require a BI 54 role, although I am also a basic user, as you can see here. So remember this, each type of role has a segregation of access by folder and by report. Access must be requested to each specific folder, as indicated here in the screenshot. And this works also for analytical user roles. Again, the same exact explanation. I may have a BI 26 role for FI FA analytical user, which allows me to access that specific report and view web intelligence reports and also analysis workspaces. But I would not be able to access the folder for service delivery, for example, even though I have an analytical user role, because this requires a different type of role. Same exact thing would happen even if I have a power user role. I would be able to view Web Intelligence reports, AWS reports, and also share in the analysis folder for this specific folder and role, BI07, FI, FA, but of course I would not be able to do so for a different type of folder that requires a different type of role. So I believe this could be quite clear, but before we finalize this presentation, we may review what we have just learned with another screen and another type of animation. So what we're saying here, for example, having the BI15, BI24, and BI05 analytical, basic, and power user roles would allow this person to access the accounts payable folder and view all the reports, meaning the Web Intelligence reports and the analysis workspaces reports, and also be able to share a report in the shared analysis folder, which we see right here at the bottom. In this case, I would have the 3 roles, and I would be able to access all the reports and also the folder for accounts payable. And this would happen and also is needed for each different report. So as we see here, for now accounts receivable, we need completely different roles to be able to access this folder. BI16, BI25, BI06. So you would need these roles to be able to access this folder. Not all 3 roles. With one of them, you should be able to access the folder accounts receivable, but of course you will be limited in terms of what types of reports you can see. And that happens for each and every folder that you will find in BI. You will need the role to access the folder and also the role to view a specific type of report. And in this screenshot, you can see the roles needed to access each and every folder in BI. So I believe in this sense this could be quite clear. But before we finish, let's go over a small quiz on the type of access that we have based on our user. And I mean access to not only folders, but access to the reports that we're going to view. So let's start with the BI role. Here at the top, the first one, basic BI user. And this basic BI user is B14 or BI14 for source to acquire. What this means is that I would have a basic user role for the source to acquire folder. So let's see, based on the top definitions here, save in shared folder, formatted reports, analysis workspaces, or access to shared folder, if we can or cannot, or what types of limitations we'll have based on our BI role, BI basic user for source to acquire. So let's see, would I be able to save in the shared analysis folder? No, I would not. Would I be able to access formatted Webby reports? Yes, I would, but of course only for source to acquire folder. And that's what we were looking at in the screenshot before. Now, would I be able, as a BI user for source to acquire, view analysis workspaces, analysis workspace reports? Well, that is a no. And then access to the shared folder. And now pay attention that this is different. The possibility of accessing a shared folder and saving in a shared folder. Sharing your reports and just viewing others' reports. And in this case, yes. So you could access based, again, on the role granted and on the fact that you are a basic user or an analytical user or a power user. So access meaning viewing reports. And remember, always limited to Web Intelligence reports and also to the role that you have. But again, we cannot share a report and we cannot see the analysis workspace reports. And let's see now for the following roles and the following limitations for each role, what occurs. So now I'm an analytical user, source to acquire, and fixed assets, meaning I could access the source to acquire and fixed assets folders as an analytical user. So can I save in the shared analysis folder? I still cannot. I'm only an analytical user. I can view formatted reports, but again, only for source to acquire and fixed assets. This time I can view analysis workspaces, but again limited to only source to acquire and fixed assets. And can I access the shared folder? Well, yes, I can. Now, what happens if I am an analytical user with access to all folders? Well, it doesn't change anything in terms of saving in shared folder, okay, in the shared analysis folder. But now in formatted Webby reports, I can access all of them in all types of folders. Analysis workspaces and formatted reports. And then the access to a shared folder, I have access as well. So what has changed in this line here is the fact that now I'm not only limited to the folders for fixed assets and source to acquire. And finally, as a power user BI, I can save in the shared folder as we've seen. And now in this case, I'm limited to the funds management folder, but that doesn't make a difference in terms of saving or sharing in the analysis folder. I can view Webby reports, but again, only for FM reports. I can view analysis workspaces, but again, only for FM reports, and I can also access. And the difference with the fact that I am a power user with access to all folders is that I can save in the analysis folder. I can view Webby reports in all folders. I can view analysis workspaces in all folders, and I can access the shared folder. And that is all we're going to cover in this basic introduction to BI basics. This is more than enough information that you will need to follow the GDP BI WebEx sessions taking place during the week.